In this video, I'm going to take a look at this camera, the Sony FX30, and I want to look at the dual base ISO function on the camera and test out whether or not there really is a dual base ISO. Now, the whole reason that I'm doing this test is because I've owned it for several weeks. I've seen other people review the camera and have either made claims or asked questions about the dual base ISO feature on this camera. Now, if you're curious what that means, it basically means that at ISO 800 and ISO 2500, the camera is going to perform the best both in terms of noise and dynamic range. And so what this, if it's true, what this means is that you can have a second ISO value and get pretty good, clean performance, or at least you should. And this is going to help film in lower light scenarios and just give you some more flexibility to work with on this camera. Now, I've seen people question this and they've shown different tests, and it's really had me wondering whether or not this camera does have a second base ISO and kind of what's happening underneath the hood. And so what I thought I would do is I would run two different tests to sort of test this out. And the first test is pretty straightforward. I'm going to record with the lens cap on, and I'm going to record internally at 4K, 24 frames per second in the XAVC-S codec. And the reason why I'm recording with the lens cap on is I don't want to give the sensor any light. I want to just see what's happening with the noise performance. And I'm going to show two boxes on the screen. One is going to be the actual image, and it's just going to be a black image with noise, and the other is going to be a waveform. And the waveform should reveal the increases in the noise performance as I step up through the ISO values. Now, the second test I'm going to run is I'm going to plug in this guy. It's an Atomos Ninja 5, and I'm going to record in ProRes RAW. Now, the reason I'm going to do that is because when you record in a RAW codec, it actually bypasses the noise reduction that the camera has going on before it records. And pretty much every camera that records in a normal codec is going to have some level of noise reduction applied to the image. And so when I plug in this guy and record on the Ninja 5, it's going to bypass that noise reduction, and we're going to see exactly what's going on at the sensor level. Okay, I am recording internally here, and I will overlay the actual recording over here and not give you the screen recording, but I have a feeling that the YouTube compression is not going to be super friendly with that, and so I think it's more helpful to look right here at the waveform and to see what is actually being recorded in the noise. The only thing that's being recorded is black and the noise. And so what you're going to see right here across this line, it's going to kind of grow in both directions. It'll get higher as the noise becomes more visible, and also get darker as it just gets kind of contrastier. So this is at ISO 800, and I'll walk you through the different ISO values as it gets increased. This is 1000, 1250, 1600, 2000, and 2500, 2000, 2500. So you will see a change in the noise pattern here, but I think it's going to be more evident in ProRes RAW when we're bypassing the internal noise reduction. So I will switch over to that test clip. Okay, so this is the ProRes RAW clip, and when I play it, you'll see right away that just the noise floor is more distinct. This waveform is going to show more noise, and there's not any noise reduction happening, so you should be able to see a difference between this one and the previous one recording internally. So this is at ISO 800. 1000, 1250, 1600, and this is 2000. And this is 2500. So you can definitely see there is a pretty substantial jump from 2000 to 2500. I think it would be helpful to quickly summarize the results. And I think what we can see here is that when we go from ISO 2000 to 2500, when we're recording in RAW and bypassing the internal noise reduction, what's happening here is that we are switching over to a high base ISO, and we are seeing a significant improvement in the noise performance. But we don't see that improvement in noise performance specifically when we're recording internally, because there's noise reduction happening. Now, you are going to see an improvement in dynamic range when going from 2000 to 2500 when recording both internally and externally, and you actually should see a little bit of an improvement in just the overall kind of image detail and sharpness when you're filming at 2500 as opposed to 2000, because there is less noise reduction happening at that higher base ISO. And so I hope that makes sense. And I can definitely see why people have questioned this. I think if you're only recording internally, it does look like there is just sort of kind of a linear, either no change or very small incremental increases in noise. And we're not seeing like this huge jump when we get to ISO 2500. But like I said, what I think is happening with kind of the confusion is that there is some noise reduction happening, which is very, very normal for all modern cameras. And again, I hope this makes sense. I'm not trying to, kind of knock on other reviewers or prove anyone wrong. I just want to provide some clarity here that I do think that this camera, the FX30, is making good on the claims that Sony has advertised with it. I think we can see there definitely is a clear improvement when going to that higher base ISO, and I don't think people need to be concerned about some of the results that they might be seeing. If you're recording internally, there's just a little bit of noise reduction happening, and I think overall this is probably a good thing and is going to help most people get a better image at whatever ISO value that they're using. If you like this type of content and you find it interesting, I would really appreciate it if you like this video as well as considered subscribing. It really is the best way to help me support this channel. And as well, I'm going to have more of these types of tutorials and deep dives looking at different aspects of the Sony FX30. All right, thanks so much, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.